What is performance coaching? Coaching is a communication tool equal to other tools like instructions, demonstrations, sparring, and mentoring. Coaching is just much more effective when developing people. Coaching is one of the manager's most basic tools to lead and manage performance. Coaching ensures that you and the employees interact and build relationships where goal setting and follow-up is on the agenda and where the employee will be seen, heard, taken seriously, and acknowledged. Performance coaching is about creating results. As in all other forms of coaching, performance coaching is all about asking powerful questions, listening, and reflecting. In addition to that, it is about giving valuable feedback. The purpose is to support the employee to exploit his or her full potential. A precondition for coaching is that you are being physically and mentally present. Enter the leadership path, lead and manage development, to learn more about the two basic competences, coaching and feedback. You are, as a manager, the expert of organizational realities by what organizational terms and within what framework you and your team can operate. This framework has most probably been set for you by managers above your level, or maybe yourself if you are the leader of the company. You are responsible for setting the framework for the team and the individual within the team. The employees, on the other hand, are experts in their own reality and know how they are best equipped to fill the frame based on their competences and potential, with one exception. The employees' beliefs in own capabilities can both support and stand in the way of what is possible. You can, as a coach, work with self-confidence and self-esteem, and this way help the individual to see and exploit the full potential. Enter the leadership path, lead and manage development, to learn more about beliefs. The most important when coaching is that the employee trusts you to support him or her to be the best the person can be. This includes that important information is handled with confidentiality. How much do the employees trust you? Do they often come to you in order to discuss a success or a challenge? Are the issues strictly professional and related to a task, or do they also come to discuss successes and challenges in personal relationships and daily operations? Is it because you always have the right answers, or is it because they can get the right questions from you to make their own decisions? A general rule is that the more delicate and personal matters the employee brings to the table, the more trust they probably have in you. Personal matters are not to be confused with private matters, which belong to the person's privacy sphere unless it interferes with performance at work. Enter the leadership path, lead and manage people, to learn more about how you can increase mutual trust. When and when not to use coaching. You can use performance coaching in all developing dialogues with your employees, especially when setting clear targets and following up. You can also delegate part of the coaching task to your employees for them to coach each other. This can, for instance, be in a learning situation where you delegate the responsibility to an employee who is the expert on something that the other employee wants to learn. Take the opportunity to be coached by an employee yourself and discover the pleasure of growing and at the same time being a role model. Coaching is not a good tool when something is given in advance and not up for discussion. For example, when you need to give an order that cannot be changed, provide information about a decision already taken, inform about solutions that are not up for discussion, fire an employee, help an employee to learn a new task. Once you have given the information or instructions, you can use the coaching tool again and start asking questions, listen and reflect. A first question to some of the previous situations could be: now that you know that the argument stands, how can you best meet the requirements? Now that you know that you will unfortunately no longer be a part of this team, how can I best help you to move on from here? Now that you have seen what to do, what do you need now to take the first step? Set clear and energizing goals. Setting clear and energizing goals is not the same as a short message on an email or to show 5 slides with the next year's top-down goals at a staff meeting. Clear and energizing goals are set by involving the employees. A guiding rule is that the goals must be within sight but out of reach at the moment. You can often see from the employee's body language if the goal is clear and energizing. Nodding heads, a smile, a straight back, a nose up. Supporting outbreaks can, for instance, be: we can do this if we only focus. This is going to be fun to try and reach. I believe in it. It will be difficult, but not impossible. We're going to make a difference. People do have a need and wish to develop and to be challenged, to feel and know that they are making a difference. It is commonly known that the feeling of success makes us more powerful and that we're driven by it. When people are successful, they almost always call it a good day, and often worth telling about at home. Setting an energizing goal. If the goal is set too low, it slows people down since there's nothing to strive for. If the target is too high, it seems impossible to reach and the desire to give up immediately is imminent. The goal must be exactly at the point where we have to stretch ourselves to reach it, but where we can still see that it is possible. It is also worth noting that the vast majority of all employees actually want to be a success, and that means Sean too. For the few who need a loving kick in the butt, a manager may have to clarify the success criteria again and make it clear what is required of the person concerned. Example: the requirements to be in this team are that you are able to finalize at least 20 cases per day. Now that you know this, how do you think this will be possible for you? And what kind of support do you need from me for you to be successful? It can be the case that an employee will be happier somewhere else than in the present team. It does not make this employee less of a person. Things do change at work, and maybe the past changes have removed the part of the work that made the employee match in the past, but not in the future. The manager must be prepared to coach the employee to discover what will make him or her happy when going to work, and coach the person to take the right decisions for the future. Example: now that you have realized that it will not give you pleasure at work having to finalize 20 cases per day, and that this is required in your present job, what do you think will make you really happy to do every day? And what is it that makes it a really good day for you? And what should your day consist of if you were in a position where you were completely free to choose? An employee is not by definition lazy or less talented because the employee and the workplace is not the right match. A clever child once said, "There's always something you're good at, you just have to figure out what it is." This is the case for both employees and managers. We cannot make the right decisions every time. The structure of the conversation between Sean and Tina is the same one that you will find in the example for the meeting type monthly follow-up meeting. To follow up on an employee requires care, insight, creativity, and respect. Care. As a leader, you must have empathy to be able to see things from the employee's perspective. Be inspired by Søren Kierkegaard's secret of helping. If you really want to succeed in helping a person to a certain place, start where that person is at the moment. Anyone who doesn't understand this is in fact an imagination himself if he imagines that he can help somebody else. To truly help another person, I must understand more than him, but foremost, I must understand what he understands. When this is not the case, my more understanding does not help him at all. If I want to express my more understanding anyway, it is just because I am vain or proud and want to be admired by him and not help him. All true helping starts with humiliation. If you have empathy, you have the ability to understand what supports the individual and what stands in the way of further progress. It is about finding both strengths and focus areas and which of them to work with. Even though it sounds as a contradiction, a strength can in fact be the person's largest challenge. Example 1. A person who has great decision power can feel so confident of own competences and in a state of being invincible. This state can turn into blindness to where the competence is actually standing in the way of progress. The person's competence is used too much compared to what works for this person. The manager must support the person to see how the competence can be adjusted for this person to be even more successful. A contradiction can also be if a person trains so hard on a non-preference that they in time believe that they like it. Example: a person is low on the competence structure and high on creativity. The person is asked to focus 100% on training the competence structure by modeling structured persons. This person ends up having a distorted picture of how important structure is compared to other competences and is losing creativity, which used to be the most important strength that made this person special. Insight is needed in order to know exactly what each employee needs to increase his or her capabilities one more step. It requires your curiosity and your presence as a manager. You must see the employees in action to discover exactly what the present competence level is and what is needed to be even better. Many managers choose to fully book the calendar with meetings that are about other things than supporting the employees to be even better. The reasons for the overcrowded calendar can be caused by expectations from managers above own level to act as a specialist in different meetings, or expectations that management do participate in many meetings outside own unit. Inefficient prioritization of time by adding meetings at times that does not give the manager a chance to be on the floor and see what happens. Old habits, unwillingness to be close to the employees, an expectation that development is done without support from a manager. The immediate manager or other people may believe that there is a need for the manager to help form a new strategy, prepare the launch of a new product, go to a customer reception, participate in the introduction of a new IT system, be a specialist at a meeting, participate in manager meetings. All of this is important, but not necessarily associated with what the manager is supposed to support the employees in doing. At the same time, team meetings are often used to inform the employees about a new strategy, the new product, the customer's reception, the new IT system, how the leader was a specialist at a meeting, and what happened at the last executive meeting. Specialist or manager. When you choose to go to meetings and act as a specialist instead of sending one of your employees, it can be an attempt to maintain your specialist knowledge. Ask yourself the question, how long can I cover both jobs? Your task as a manager is to make your employees even better specialists in what they do. Your job is to be the specialist in managing and leading. Think about how much information can be provided via email, since it does not require a dialogue anyway. Team meetings can then be used for dialogue, for example, knowledge sharing, success sharing, decisions that create growth, ownership for decisions, ideas on how to be even more efficient, speeding up processes, developing and following up on individual learning objectives. The close relationship with employees that is built on trust can be a reality when meeting regularly. If not, both the manager and employee can find it difficult to get started with the dialogue. It can be a matter of focusing on the other person's expectations instead. The manager can think, how much can I expect? How will the employee respond? Will the employee like me? How should I communicate the requirements? What do I do in this meeting? The employee can think, what do my manager expect of me? What will my manager prefer that I say now? How do I communicate with my manager? How do I get to say what is challenging me the most? In order for your employee to get used to you, it is important that you are on the floor and see how your employees are working. You will discover who are the fiery advocates, fully focused on the job that has to be done, and who have found a better way to work with a given task. You will have the opportunity to experience who gives energy to the team and in what way, and you also have the chance to discover the employee who is draining energy from the team. You can use the insights to ask the right questions. Regular contact with employees gives insight and is the foundation for a developing conversation. Creativity. When you have insight in how your employees are working and who can give good ideas to whom, you have a really good foundation for a follow-up meeting. In addition, you can add your own creativity in your questions. When you are creative, you inspire your employees to do the same. Use whatever great actions you have seen and spread it in the whole team. You can, for example, ask one employee to tell the others at a team meeting how he or she has been successful in something. You can also ask one employee to work together with another one to either learn or teach. You can also use your creativity when wondering why a process is being approached in one way and not another. Be curious and ask questions. There could be a good reason. Example: how come a task must go through 3 people before it is finalized? Is it possible that one person handles the task from start to end? How can we offer more than one of our products when the customer is here? How come we have internal meetings when we have most customers who want to talk with us? What is the reason that we archive as we do? You explore everyone's strengths and opportunities and get an overview of whom to support with what. Match the skillful employee along with the less skilled. There are always people who are more skilled than others on some issues, and the less skilled people in one thing can be the most skilled in another thing. If you match your people so that they can learn from the best from each other, you get even more out of your team. However, the persons who complement each other do not necessarily seek each other. Imagine a person who is super talented in thinking outstanding creative thoughts and who has difficulties in obtaining structure. This person may not be naturally attracted to a person who is super talented in structuring everything. Perhaps a couple is already struggling with their communication and is often conflicting about what is important. Imagine a super talented person who will do anything to win a deal matched up with a person who is extremely appreciated for delivering quality. The speed versus quality will most probably already be challenging for both of them. If the two employees can learn to appreciate each other's differences, they have a unique opportunity to learn from each other, but also complement each other in their daily work. They need support in getting over the hurdle of being different and get to know how to offer and receive learning. Respect. Being close to your people is not the same as looking over their shoulder. Imagine a manager constantly passing an employee typing on the laptop, and where the manager is trying to see what the employee is typing. This is control, and not curiosity with respect. Know the invincible line that you cannot cross. If you're in doubt of knowing, ask the employee. Respect the employee's personal preferences of how they want to work and who they expect you to be as a manager. However, it is your job to know what they do, to be able to support continuous improvements. That is why you need to negotiate how you can be close to each employee in a supporting role without being perceived as a disturbing element causing frustration. Negotiate might not be a positive word, but this is what it is all about. You need to find out how to trust each other to meet the company's vision, mission, strategies, and goals. Know enough about how the employee works to be able to support in the right way. Negotiations in this sense is to have a one-to-one dialogue between two equal people about the employee's expectations for how the manager should be, directions from the company, and the manager's personal expectations for how the employee should be. Dreams for how the relationship could be, like when to meet and with which purpose. Possible causes of frustration. Wishes for future ways of communicating in the relationship. Enter the leadership path, lead and manage people to see an example of how to negotiate trust. Process over outcome. Many managers look at the result without looking at the process, and it makes no sense, no matter if it's negative or positive criticism. Examples of negative criticism that does not add value could be: you should have had 12 and you got only 10. What will you do to reach the last 2 next month? Why have you not reached 12? The others in your team are able to deliver as promised. It can even be spiced with some good advice, which probably does not make sense either. You have to start a little earlier to focus on achieving your goals. You must do like Johanna. You can really learn something from her. If it was me, I would have pushed the customer more. You simply have to work more with it. I demand that you get 12 next month. Consider whether it's here you'd like to be employed. In the best case scenario, the employee gets confused. At worst, tears and a paralyzed employee. Consider the following questions. What should the employee specifically do with the criticism? Why is it exactly that the employee must take action? What works for the employee? What is the employee's competence? What stands in the way of the employee? What is it exactly that the employee must train on? What kind of support does the employee need from the manager? What practical support is needed from others? What is the employee's first easy step? Positive but vague feedback that does not point at development is similarly ineffective. Example: I think that you are performing fine. You should just continue to do what you're good at. You are the star here in the company, and you have honestly earned the dinner for 2, as is your premium for a well-done job. I appreciate the new customers you have brought in lately. There's not a finger to put on you, so there's probably not so much to talk about. On the contrary, there's a lot to talk about. Answer these questions. What is it exactly that the employee is good at? What is it specifically that the employee must maintain doing because it works? Where can the employee work more to be even more fantastic? What should the next challenge for the employee be? What stands in the way of the employee, preventing him or her to develop even further? What kind of support do the employee need? As a manager, you are not supposed to have all the answers for each of your employees. Ask the employee instead. They probably have an even better answer than you can come up with. If neither the employee or you can point at next step in the development, you can invite a third person to help the employee to be even better. The employee stakeholders, for instance, customers, teammates, other departments, or relationships outside the company, can be of great help. Ask them, for instance, what is this person good at that he or she should do even more of? And if this person should be even better at doing the job, what should he or she then focus even more on, start doing or stop doing? The employee that you at the moment perceives as the weakest link in the team can at the same time be the person who can help the most skilled employee to even greater achievements, simply because they can be complementary. The best salesman can be very bad in structuring the day and thus never complete anything on time. The less skilled salesman can very well be the employee who can organize the day and help the best salesman with structure. The best salesman can co-host sales meetings with the less skilled and give feedback. All employees should be in a development process, both the most skilled and the less skilled. What works before what stands in the way? When you support people to develop themselves, your best starting point is what works. This way, you support the employee to strengthen his or her foundation. Remember that even the best athletes often do not know what it is exactly that it makes them so good. When the foundation is strong, you can build upon that and explore how the employee can develop even further. This includes areas that has been challenging to the employee. This basic rule applies in all kinds of coaching conversations and origins from the method appreciative inquiry. Recognize people's strengths and what works, and then explore people's potential and what stands in the way. A basic assumption is that no one starts from zero with no competences at all. There's always a foundation we can build upon, and that is our starting point. If we start with "it is not working," there is a danger that the employee will lose his or her self-confidence. When self-confidence is not there, the chances can become very small that the employee wants to engage in new challenges. The chance to fail is all the greater when we do not have self-confidence. Believing in success is already half the way. If the manager believes it too, it is more than halfway. Analyze the past to see the future more clearly. The results are history and can be used for three things. Give recognition by celebrating the successes, analyze the successes to discover what made it a success and how to do more of it in the future. Analyze the challenges and obstacles to find out how to eliminate them or deal with them in the future.